Hello there.
Welcome back to another episode of Star Wars and Galaxy, watching all the Star Wars we can get our hands on. I'm Eli.
I'm Jacob.
And we have finally made it to the end of season 18 of Star Wars and the Galaxy. This is episode 146 of Star Wars and the Galaxy, watching all the Star Wars we can get our hands on. Today is a special day because we do, like we always do, our retrospective episodes. I know Jacob hasn't been on now for 2 weeks, but we did record the retrospective one in advance. We're doing it right now, just after we did 142 with Devore. Hope y'all enjoyed that episode. That was, 3 weeks ago as of the posting of this? But we're here to talk about our overall thoughts on Jedi Survivor. We have a bunch of prompts that we usually fill out for our retrospective episodes. Jacob, you want to take it away?
Yeah, let's kick it off with overall thoughts. I guess I'll kick this off. I feel like I know we just, how long ago was it when we did Jedi Fallen Order? It feels like a long time, but also
it was last year.
Also not a long time. Yeah, some point last year. So yeah, look, I feel like I owe this game franchise, this series of games, another apology, having come to the conclusion of Survivor, because I doubted it so hard. I doubted Fallen Order so hard, and I'd actually played a lot of Survivor with Eli before recording these, and long before we did it on the show. So I am more familiar. Off the bat, I was much more familiar with this game than I was with the original Jedi Fallen Order game. But man, this, once again, I feel like my expectations were completely and totally blown away. I think this game, as a story, just does such a tremendous job of bringing us a hard-hitting but empathetic, emotional tale where you really get attached to the different characters. It really leans into the found family aspect of Star Wars as we get to see the new iteration and the continuation of the respective journeys of Cal's family. We get to see Marin, Seer, Grease. We get Boda Kuna of Fuck Boda Kuna fame in this game.
Fuck Boda Kuna fame.
And I think that this game actually surpasses the original game in terms of the story, the execution. I think it really feels like it really feels like you're taking a walk into Star Wars, into the world of Cal Kestis and his experiences. So yeah, my expectations were completely surpassed. I think it knows when to be funny. It knows when to be serious. This is a game with a great sense of humor, but also it's a deeply emotional game that will really hit you where you live, right when you least expect it. And that's what I love the most about it. And it has a lot to say.
Yeah. I had a very similar review with Jacob. I don't usually read my stuff from my notes verbatim, but for my overall thoughts, I usually like to, just because I think I write there better than I talk here, honestly. If someone has a ranking of Star Wars video game stories that does not include Jedi Survivor in the top 5, I genuinely do not know what to tell them. Jedi Survivor is a beautiful story about the ways that people try to live their lives in tandem with or in conflict with their long-term goals. So many beautiful character arcs and with story, and they all mirror each other. The nuances of how Cal's motivations work, as opposed to Bo's, as opposed to Dagon's, as opposed to Rave's, as opposed to Seer's, as opposed to etc., are so well written and juicy to dive into, and we really see the cores of what each character is truly fighting for. I think this game is a fantastic dark time story with the rare quirk of the Empire never really being the main villains. Don't get me wrong, they're evil and our heroes still fight against them, but this is not a conflict between groups or systems. This is a conflict between people. With stellar graphics, deeply detailed voice performances, especially from Cameron Monaghan, Noshir Dalal, and Tina Ivlev, stunning lightsaber duels. Dagon versus Cal 3, Bode versus Cal 2, and Seer versus Vader are all timers for me. And some incredible moments and sequences to boot. The entire Jedha 2 and 3 sequence, as well as Kobo 3 and 4, respectively. This is a fantastic Star Wars story that is my personal favorite that we've gotten out of a video game. Yeah, no, very positive. I love this story. I do have some gripes with it, mostly around a lot of the villains' personnel. Not Bode or Ravis, but the other ones. Although there's some stuff with Ravis that annoys me too, actually. But whatever. But yeah, incredible game. I was so excited. I was so looking forward to getting to this game. Absolutely, without a doubt in my mind, surpasses Fallen Order. Fallen Order I like a lot, but Fallen Order to me is very, very good. And this is an all-time Star Wars story, not just game. Yeah, no. Survivor is a. I remember just seeing the story for the first time, playing the story for the first time, and just being like, wow, this, I almost can't believe that these two games are part of the same franchise. Not that Jedi Fallen Order was bad by any stretch of the imagination, but just that Jedi Survivor is just so incredible.
Yeah, I think there's something about this game and this story. I agree with everything you said, Eli. I think I maybe liked Ravis and the way that the writing deployed him in this game more than you did. There's something about this game and this story and this cast of characters. There's something about it where it just same as Jedi Fallen Order, it just sneaks up on you when I didn't expect it to. All of a sudden, I'm sitting here a few episodes in, a few segments in, going, man, I'm really attached to these characters. I'm really attached to this story. I didn't think that this would work. It's really working for me. I didn't think that Dagan Gera would be a compelling villain. He's maybe not my favorite Star Wars villain of all time, but he's hitting all the right notes and he's pressing all the right buttons for this story. And especially in relation to Cal, he's doing exactly what he needs to do. I find myself going, I really didn't expect this story to. I feel a little bit. I don't want to exaggerate too much, but I feel a little bit swept off my feet. That is to say, I really didn't expect to be sitting here having as many strong feelings about this game as I do now when it's all said and done with the rewatch.
Yeah, no, it's a fantastic game, a fantastic story. I think it's executed really quite well. But yeah, let's keep this love train going, Jacob. Let's talk about your best moment.
My best moment, man. There's a few candidates for this one. I think I almost want to know which one you're going to pick so that I can pick one that I don't think is the same one, but I'm gonna have to go with the betrayal. With the Bode betrayal and the reveal, the Force sensitive reveal. I remember sitting with you the first time that it was not your first time, it was the first time that I was playing this through. And I was so locked in and invested in the story. And like you said, the clash of these two individuals that it didn't even register the first time Bode reaches out and uses the Force. And then after a couple seconds go by, I go, wait, what just happened? It really is. Star Wars sometimes, I think, can get a little bit predictable these days. This is not one of those times at all. It was so perfect, and gosh, I still think about that moment, and sometimes I'm like, man, I wish I could experience that kind of shock again at where the story took us, because it was the last thing in the world I was expecting to happen.
So Jacob went with the betrayal, and my moment is directly after the betrayal. See Seer packing up the archives, the Empire's there, Bode's betrayed them, all that kind of stuff, and then we see her archives in ruins, and then we hear that goddamn breathing. And look, I will say that when I heard that Vader was coming back, like that there was a Vader part of Jedi Survivor, I was not thrilled. I really didn't think that we needed another Vader appearance in the Jedi games. And I still might think that, but I don't care nearly as much, and that's just because they made this one count so goddamn much.
Yeah.
Of course, we're following on the brutal twist that hashtag fuck Bodakuna is surprisingly a bad guy. Putting this into context with Obi-Wan Kenobi specifically, if this does, we don't exactly know when this takes place with regards to Obi-Wan Kenobi, but I really do think it's after. So think about Vader's mindset. He just got humiliated by his old master. Absolutely humiliated. And it's probably one of the lowest moments he's felt as Darth Vader in a while. And then he hears about that Jedi he tried to kill 5 years ago, and she's on Jeddah, and he's like, okay, fine, I guess I'll go and deal with this shit, and all that stuff. And Seer then I remember when I saw that battle, of course, we knew that Seer had to in some way lose the battle, because Vader obviously had to survive for many more years until the events of Return of the Jedi.
Yeah.
But I think it was such a great thing to have Seer do as well as she did, where she's kicking Vader's ass for the first half of that fight.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
But proving herself to be among the best of the Order, both in combat and as a symbol of their ideas. Like, in that is a very true Jedi moment for Seer. But in the end, Vader then becomes who Palpatine wanted him to be, who I'm dubbing like the sort of angel of death for the Galactic Empire. And it's heartbreaking. Cal has that brutal moment where he's by Seer's dead body, and it's just heartbreaking that this strong, powerful character that we've seen had to fall like this. But it's such an amazing duel. It feels so retro. It has such a great vibe to it that I love it. It's fantastic.
It is absolutely fantastic. You are right. You are right.
All right. What are you going to go with for worst moment?
Worst moment. I can't think of one specific moment in this game that made me roll my eyes or that I thought was really unnecessary or gratuitous. I'm going to have to go with, let's just say, all the insanely complicated puzzle sections where Cal's running around, playing with balls, and BD's spraying goo. Because that's what it is. Look, if you like it, that's not the part of the game that interests me. And I think, in my experience playing through it as well, when you make a game with such a great platforming experience, such an amazing lightsaber combat experience, and of course such a compelling story, just sitting there trying to figure out some of the really challenging puzzles and just moving around force orbs and burning up Kobo matter, it just feels completely inconsequential and out of place. So I hope that the next game tones down the puzzle aspect for the game. That is my hope, and that is my worst moment. Would be,
believe me, this is actually turned down. This is actually toned down. This is toned down from Fallen Order. I genuinely do believe that. Mine, and I know this is a gripe that I'm never letting go of, apparently. It's still about the Ninth Sister at the beginning. I wish she stayed dead. I really do. I wish she stayed dead. I wish that could have been any other Inquisitor. Anybody else. I really do not think that needed to be her. And I think I will say Masana Tide, It's Time to Set You Free is a good moment. I'm not saying that's a bad moment because I do think it's a good moment. But they bring her back in for what? Exactly. What do they do with her after that? Not really anything. And I feel like the moment on the origin tree in Fallen Order was a bit dulled. I felt like that moment, like where Cal looks at BD and just goes, "We just took down an Inquisitor." is a bit more effective if they actually did that.
Yeah.
So that's my submission for what the moment that I was, let's say, less than satisfied by. Go ahead, Jacob. Best character or characters?
Best character or characters?
If
I
you
mean,
say
look,
Turgle, I will kick you off of this show.
Turgle. Okay, no, Eli, don't kick me. Don't kick me. Don't kick me. Best characters. Once again, surprise, I'm having trouble picking just one. Who would have thought? Who would have thought? This has never happened before in the history of the show. No. First up, I gotta say Marin. I gotta shout out Marin. She's the perfect foil to Cal. But more than that, she's just so fun. I just her attitude, the way that she is always hiding underneath a layer of irony, insincerity, sarcasm, and then all of a sudden she'll just hit you with some amazing emotional truth bomb that completely changes Cal's trajectory in life. Is just so much fun, and I love her as a character so dearly. And she's just so much fun every time Cal's around her, and they're going back and forth. That brings me to Cal. I think the main character, the changes that he goes through in this game, the growth that we see, the character development, it's pretty special. And it's great that we really get to spend some quality time. I like him much more even than in the first game. Also, shout out to is it Pilly?
Peely, yeah.
Peely. Shout out to Peely. I'm a big fan of her. I've got a soft spot for her. I think this game does a great job with the quirky and unusual yet endearing side characters. But if I have to pick one, it would be Marin. What about you?
For me, this is not actually really a contest. I love Marin. I do. I love Cal. I do. I love all the other main characters. I do. It's Bode.
Bode
It's
Akuna.
Bode. Bode Akuna seemed to just be a new sidekick for Cal to have quippiest changes with. But things aren't always what they seem to be. After that reveal, Bode became an all-time Star Wars character, an all-time Star Wars villain. And he's not that mustache twirling villain, which I'm actually more partial to than most people. I love the impact of a good I will kill you and destroy the world. No, this guy is a father. It's something that Cal says to him at the end in that last segment that we covered last week. You're a monster. No, Cal. I'm a father who'd do anything for his little girl. And that impact of causing that being the thing for him to go against everything he knows, everyone he trusts, everybody he loves is such a powerful and tragic villain story that I think is the greatest Star Wars villain story, frankly, that we've gotten since Kylo Ren. And I just think it's a beautifully written story, and I think that Shidala plays it so well. Yeah, of course, disclaimer, of course, fuck that guy. But it's because of the writing that I'm so confident in saying that. It's because they write him so well that I can say fuck that guy, but with I understand like where this guy is, but also fuck him.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Bode is a magnificent character. All right, Jacob.
Worst character. Now, I don't know. I have two options here that I'm going back and forth between for very different reasons. I think worst character overall would have to be Masana Tide, the ninth sister. Like you said, Eli, why do they bring her back from the dead? I feel like this is just a symptom of Star Wars just getting a little bit too fast and loose with, oh, this character's dead. Psych, they're back now. They were never actually gone. It looked like she died, but she actually didn't. Got you. And I just think that what that beat did for Cal and did for the story of him defeating her could have been accomplished in so many other ways that it just felt completely gratuitous and out of the blue for her to come back, that I just found myself sitting here watching that going, is this supposed to be is this supposed to be like doing something for me or anyone? So I think I'm gonna go with Masonetide. Honorable mention to Eno Cordova. No specific reason for Cordova.
Anyway,
Eli just momentarily removed me my Cordova slander. My apologies, Eli. It won't happen again, buddy. Just this once. But rest in
no,
peace.
keep going, keep going.
Rest in peace, Mido Cordova. He was
Dem's fighting words in
his
it.
midness
Dem's fighting
will
words in
be
it.
all in good fun, Eli. All in
Yeah.
good fun. But yes, rest in peace. Rest in peace, Cordova. I just think a lot of his appearances felt a little bit gratuitous and
Yeah.
didn't really feed
You are
into the
far
greater
from the only one who
story
thinks that.
the
You
way
are far
that
from the only
the way that
one who thinks that.
the other characters did. But I can also see his appeal, and what you say about him is also true. So
Yeah.
it's not a total loss the way that the
Yeah.
Ninth Sister's there, and you're just like, why? Like,
Why?
why
Yeah.
would you do that? It doesn't like
Yeah.
it's not even bad, the Masonetide thing. It's just why. Anyways, off to you, Eli.
Yeah.
Worst character,
So
least favorite character.
legitimately, I wrote this. I'm like, look, okay. I've started writing this morning, and I said, I spent enough time raging about Dagangera, so I'm not going to go for the obvious here. And then I sat for a few minutes, and I'm like, okay, who am I going to pick? And I'm like, screw it. No, I'm going for Dagangera. I really wanted more development into what caused him to just freak out over Tanalorr. I do think Cody Fern did a great job with what he was given, but the dialogue for Dangera is just general and vague that I never really got his issues with, other than I wanted Tanalorr and they didn't give me it. Other than that, I felt like his motivations were a little bit confusing and oversimplified. So I found myself more annoyed with Gera than threatened by him, which kind of just, I think the broader ideas that he represented of like how obsession can drive people to the dark side and all that kind of stuff are really interesting. And I think they just could have been executed a lot better.
Yeah, that's fair. I understand. I understand that. I do.
It was just like a very much of like I was just like I said in many of our episodes. Obviously, yeah, I get it. Tanalorr, yeah, we get it. Why Tanalorr? Other than just I want it. Why Tanalorr? And I think you can do a little bit with the whole it represents him and Kree's love and all that kind of stuff, but that's never actually said. That's a subtextual thing when I think it should have been a textual thing.
Yeah, fair enough. That I can respect that.
Yeah. What do we got next? All right, yeah. Coolest new thing you noticed from the rewatch.
It's hard to say that I noticed it the first time, but I think I did notice a lot more of these moments, and I think I just appreciated it more this time. I think the strength of Cal and Marin's bond and how their relationship grows and deepens through this game. And Eli, like you emphasized, how they complement each other so well and what each of them brings to the other one that they are lacking, I think is what makes their relationship and their dynamics so fun to watch play out. Also, all the little kind of foreshadowings of from Cal's side and also from Marin's side, actually, all the little foreshadowings of Cal and Marin leading up to the moments when we really see them be open about their feelings for one another. I would have to say, just overall, the strength of that relationship and what it does for the story it's really one of the highlights of the game for me.
Yeah, I will say I absolutely agree with you about that, by the way. I had something different, but I absolutely agree that the Cal Marin storyline, I do think gets stronger on the rewatch. I think when you're watching it, or like when you're watching it for the first time, you get so caught up in the emotionality of it that you don't get a chance to really step back. But I think on the rewatch, I think it is more fun because you really get to digest how they complete each other in that really. Mine is just that I think this game is the gold standard in Star Wars games for the lore building. Now, I don't think it's alone in that. I think that the KOTOR games also do this very well, But I think for a modern Star Wars game, especially, I think this game is unparalleled with regards to how it builds lore and how it like how there are all these different nooks and crannies of the galaxy that you can of these planets that you go to, of Kobo, of Jeddah, that you can
Yeah.
find that really just expand the universe. And I think it's really I just think it's really cool. I think it's really nice how they integrate that, and I think that to come up with this many creative little mini stories is not easy, and I think they did it well for Fallen Order, and I think they did it even better for here.
I would agree with that as well. I think the attention to detail was remarkable in this game. It really, these worlds, especially Kobo and Jeddah, just really felt to me. I really enjoyed them, and I am by no means a connoisseur or an aficionado of open world or this type of video games. I've heard other people make you know criticisms of the game design and the map design and whatnot, and those may be very valid. But for me, coming at this as a Star Wars fan, wanting to enjoy the story, having also played this game more as a Star Wars fan than as a gamer, it felt like it just, especially Jeddah, it just hit the spot. And I think that
Yeah,
unless you
there's
want to expound more, do you have more to say? Actually, I shouldn't cut you off.
no, I think you hit it on the spot. You got final question?
I was gonna say that leads us straight into favorite planet. And for me, I've talked about it a lot, or I've talked about it at times. Absolutely, hands down, Jeddah for me. I think that when I think about the best places, the best backdrops, designs in Star Wars, they're ones that feel they don't have to be totally outlandish, but they just have to feel there's a sense of spectacle to them. There's a sense of grandness, of scale, of that this is something slightly otherworldly. And I think that is something that I really enjoy, and that is something that these versions of Jeddah that we see, it just hits it on the head, and it does such a good job with that. Whether you're running through these massive desert plains, up in these cows hanging from the sides of these giant mountains, huge stone pillars, massive winding cave systems, the temples, the archives. It's pretty darn phenomenal, I think, and I really enjoyed it. And then on the other hand, for all that scale and grandness, the attention to detail is not lost at all. Like I said, you get Peely, you get just so many different moments and little details here and there that really just make it come alive in such a satisfying way. Shout out to Kobo. Kobo really grew on me, the Shattered Moon as well. But in my opinion, Jeddah is where it's at with this game.
Yeah, unsurprising to everybody who regularly listens to the show, I'm going to have to disagree.
Mhm.
My answer was indeed Kobo. I think, no offense to Jeddah at all, I think there's some beautiful landscapes on Jeddah, but in terms of just like that world building that I love this game for doing, Jeddah in bucking the unibiome planet trend, in like just featuring like an entire ecosystem's worth of not only people but like cultures and ways of experiencing society and all that kind of stuff, seeing the Empire's influence, seeing the High Republic's influence, seeing the Bedlam Raiders' influence, all compounding on this one planet, I think is really interesting. And I have to say Kobo for me. Um, it's such variety and such like we take 5 trips to this planet, or what I'd really call 4.5 trips, because the 5th trip really is not really a trip. It's just going to the forest array and unlocking the final thing to get to Tanalorr. But so through its 4.5 trips, like I think it deserves all of them, and like it earns all of them is what I meant to say. And yeah, I think it's fantastic. Go Kobo. Anything else for you to say about Jedi Survivor before I talk about a little bit about before I go to our second part of our retrospective episodes, where I talk about what's coming up for us?
No, I huge props to the people who made this game. I really didn't expect to like either of these games as much as I have, but I am so delighted by what I have found by jumping into these. So from me, hats off. That's all I can say.
Yeah, we're very excited for Jedi 3. Yeah, that's going to be it for this episode of Star Wars in the Galaxy. But let's talk, before we go, about what's happening in the future of Star Wars in the Galaxy. So Jacob is going to be out of town for most of this summer. In the light of that, I am bringing back a theme between themes. Indeed, I am. I loved doing it 2 summers ago, and I am looking forward to doing it more. They're going to be theme between themes this summer, just like in the summer of 2022. And I don't have everybody locked down for the theme between themes yet, but I can tell you that theme between themes guest is who Jacob and I were discussing the other day. Deserves to be seen, I believe, as a on the Rushmore on the Mountain Rushmore of people who helped us make this show what it is, given so much to both of us as well as the show, and it feels one of the things, a couple of things feel dumb to me that we haven't had this guy on more, and that I did a whole theme between theme seasons without him. And I'm of course talking about our good friend, the Dark Jedi, Jared Bachman Stubbs, is going to be our first guest for a theme between themes. So let's see what fucking edgelord shit he comes up with for his theme between themes. I'm sure I will probably hate it. But cheers, Jared. Yeah, Jared will be our first guest on Theme Between Themes, and then stay tuned for other stuff. Jacob will be back soon, however, after the summer ends, for us to begin season 19 of Star Wars in a Galaxy, which is actually, Jacob, I want to know if you know what it is.
I actually don't know what it is off the top of my head.
Season 19 of Star Wars in a Galaxy will indeed be The Bad Batch, Season 3.
So this is one of the quickest. This is going to be one of the quickest turnarounds that we've had so far.
Keep in mind, this is May 1st, and we're due to start in the fall. So
okay, so there'll be a little bit of
it'll be a little bit turnaround.
But it's quick. But it's quick.
Yeah, but it's a quick turnaround, and I hope you're ready. This season is a fucking banger of a season. Yeah, I don't think, as of this recording, tell me if I'm wrong. I still don't think you've seen much of this season, have you?
I have not. No, I'm still waiting.
We could do something interesting. We could do something interesting. We could, you could hold off on this, honestly. And
that's a good question.
Yeah,
we'll think about it.
We'll think about it. But yeah, that will be starting around the beginning of the fall. But stay tuned for more In a Galaxy stuff. I'll be doing stuff over the summer. I think we won't do a bracket stream over the summer. We were supposed to do one this month. I don't think we'll do one over the summer. I think I'll save that for when Jacob comes back. But I might do another stream this summer. Stay tuned for all of that stuff. Stay tuned for more Epic Confrontation stuff. I will be around in the summer doing stuff for In a Galaxy. And I'm sure, and of course, Jacob, of course, the doors are always open if you have time and in your busy schedule to do stuff. Obviously, we'll be notifying you guys on Twitter and mostly, and on our other socials. That's going to be it for this episode of Star Wars in a Galaxy. Thank you so much for listening to season 18 of Star Wars in a Galaxy. You can listen to us everywhere. Obviously, you can follow us everywhere on all platforms at In a Galaxy Pod. That would be Twitter, Blue Sky, Instagram, Threads, all the places. You can find me, all my links to all my stuff, at my Linktree, linktr.ee/_OGFan327. You can, again, whatever Epic Confrontation stuff is out, go watch that. We're having such a great time continuing with that show and challenging our competitors in new ways with Star Wars trivia. And I think there's nothing else. All there's left to say is, may the Force be with you.
Always.
Always.